The story I want to tell you cannot be found in a book. They say the history of the West was written down from the stories of the first explorers and prospectors, but has never been told from the harder one, not till now. I was not born here, but I can feel the spirits of the ones before me in this place that would be called the Wild West. To me, the land is ageless. It has no boundaries, no beginning nor end. The first explorers had big dreams and pushed human endurance and capabilities to their limits. Whether the West was won or lost, you'll have to decide for yourself. I believe that this place can never be tamed. The story I want to tell you is true, so join us on a journey into the outback of Australia.
This story is about the Australian gold rush, which began in 1851. Still today, there is good gold to be found. Some of you will say, yeah, rubbish, there's no gold left. I myself have been finding good gold since I was 16. As a boy, a man showed me how to use a gold pen, and that's when all my adventures started. Years later, one day while in the bush prospecting, I met a new bloke who is now a good friend of mine. He told me of a goldfield out in the desert country, way up in the corner of New South Wales. I've always wanted to look for gold in open country. I'd read plenty of books, and they say the gold was thick on the ground. The first men and women simply walked along and picked up the gold nuggets lying in the sun. My story started in 2006, while on a trip with my son Jack on this very goldfield. While there, we met the descendants of a man who was buried there with 3 of his children. When they started to tell us their great-grandfather's story, I was so excited. I now had a link to the past of the Wild West. This man and his wife would be so happy to see what their descendants were doing to preserve this chapter of history in the corner country. So I hope you enjoyed our story.
As the countryside opens up, you feel the responsibilities of modern life drop away. We've no more calendars, watches, deadlines, bosses or teachers telling you what to do. Out here, each day flows into the next without you even knowing. You wake up when your eyes open, not when an electronic device tells you to. You eat when you're hungry, you sleep whenever you want. Good sleep? Yeah. Looking forward to a cup of tea, Mum? Yeah. When we arrived at the property, we found no one. So it was time for the children to enjoy some freedom. But still, we had to be very careful of accidents, as we were in a very remote part of Australia, and help would be hours away, if any. So from here on in, we had to keep a close eye on the children. One of my biggest fears was for one of them to fall down a mine shaft. Finally, we arrive at the old stone hut we built 2 years earlier. Time to put the overalls on, get these pants off. The kids are all having a haircut. Can't have long hair out here. It's too dusty, too dirty.
So tiny bit comes out.
What happened, Karen?
The hair all over his clothes.
No more of this long stuff, eh?
No, that's good.
No? How's it going, Millie?
Good.
Can I have a look at you, please? And who do you look like?
Jack.
Even before the gold rush started, the early explorers suffered in this unforgiving part of Australia. Charles Sturt and James Poole. After his death, 30 years had elapsed since that ill-fated trip in 1845. It was just a matter of time and the hardiest of prospectors would try their luck in this unforgiving part of Australia. Rumours of gold in the corner country had been circulating for some time now. In 1858, the South Australian government funded a venture into the region to look for evidence of the precious metal. Nothing was found. 20 years later, payable gold was discovered near Depot Glen. Within a year, 14 ounces had been found at Mount Brown. When the news got out, at least 6 teams of diggers left Wilcannia for the goldfields. The conditions must have been horrible. There was a terrible shortage of food and water, which worsened as the population grew. Prices of basic commodities, such as flour, were sky high. Diseases such as cholera and typhoid were rife on the fields. Today, the pioneer diggings of Mount Brown in the local cemetery bear witness to this chapter of history of the corner country. But the modern day prospector, with his four-wheel drive and plenty of water and phones and radios, good tracks, and technology, the metal detector. You spend weeks out here in the flat country. They're still discovering gold today. There's a couple of spots I've heard about, but you wouldn't know where. You never find them. This is what you call a dry blower. The men used to wheel it through the field as they worked the ground. All you had to do was shovel the gravel straight on the top. The small gravel fell through the cracks and the larger rocks went straight off the top. And the big nuggets, they would lose, they'd go straight out, and we'd come along with the metal detector and hopefully find a few of them. See all the small holes? The air would come through there and blow the dust away. The gold would stay in here. They lost a lot of gold. That was back in 1879 when this goldfield was first discovered. This is me in 1990 working the same ground. You can see the gully in the background where the old timers had thrown all the dirt out. And still today, with the latest technology of the Minelab metal detector, we are still finding gold. In the 1970s, Charles Garrett from America introduced to the world the first ground cancelling metal detector. The first people with foresight could see the potential to become rich overnight. We had a new gold rush in our hands. Australia's third great gold rush was on, the electronic gold rush. One of the first metal detectors on the scene in the 1970s was the Garrett Deep Seeker. This machine is a brute. It can withstand the harsh conditions of Australia. But
I've heard many stories of this being thrown on the ground and wrapped around trees in the frustration of not knowing how to ground counsel properly or tune it. The first prospectors of the 1800s left so much gold on the ground would just blow you away. To the people who managed the art of ground counselling this properly, found so much gold just beneath the surface. Huge slabs of gold and nuggets waiting to be found. This machine turned some people into millionaires overnight.
The next morning we decided to take the children for a drive over the range to check out one of the many old gold prospectors' huts. When they realised how rich the ground was, they had to build solid structures to protect them and their families from the elements. The man I talked about who travelled halfway around the world to come to Australia to prospect for gold, he may have worked on or lived in this hut. To test our skills and abilities and patience, we aim to try and reconstruct this stone hut while on this trip. This country is unforgiving. There are no second chances. If you look at the ground in all these pictures, you will see the quartz and the ironstone everywhere. The ground here is very auriferous. There has been thousands of gold nuggets found on these ranges by the old prospectors and the new. Even today, there are thousands of nuggets to be found. Most of the easy gold is gone. After setting up our second camp, close by the old hut, it was time to get to work.
When they built this hut, they faced the door nearly south. It's a little bit silly. All the bad weather comes from the south and comes straight in there. We're going to have to leave it that way because it's too much work to put a door here. We're going to put the original window back in. The other hut we built was facing north. It was beautiful. The sun would shine in the door all day long and keep you warm. We're going to have to build a really good, strong door on this one.
And bring this hut back to its former glory. Now it was time to introduce you to the people I met 3 years earlier. Ken Bamus and his son-in-law, daughter and grandson. Trevor Bamess and his wife Chris, his daughter Katie and his son Toby Bamus. And we will try and tell you their great-grandfather's story.
3 years, yeah. Look, it was early July, and it's early July now, so yeah, it is 3 years. You said you'd be back.
Yeah.
We thought, oh yeah, maybe. Well, if he does, well. And then, well, it was 6 months ago. He made contact and said, yeah, you come up, you're going to do it.
I have waited 3 years for this moment. I just wanted to sit with the Bamuses and hear some of Fredrick's stories. When you walk on this hill and look at the ground, there are so many little graves, so many children buried here. All those mothers, they must have cried so hard. Fredrick Christopher Bamess. He was born in 1832 in a little town called Hamilton in Bermuda. One of his relatives said he stowed away in a ship and sailed off to Jamaica.
And then
After a while in Jamaica, he worked his way onto another ship and went to Sydney in New South Wales.
We don't know how or when Fredrick arrived in Australia, as this was the gold rush period and things were chaotic in the harbours around Australia. Many shipping lists are not available. Sometimes the members of the crew were not even recorded. This will stay a mystery. When Fredrick arrived in Sydney, he met a young girl by the name of Selina Clara Alder. She was just 6 years old when she arrived in Australia with her parents and older sister. She would become his wife in the years to come. This lady was one hell of a woman. She married Fredrick at the age of 16, 25th of November 1863, in Sydney. Over the next 15 years they had 9 children. Then they headed west, over the Blue Mountains to the goldfields around Bathurst. When they arrived on the goldfield, his skill and knowledge as a stonemason would come in very handy in the years to come, and he worked on the first Sydney post office.
That's right. A lot of the buildings around Milparinka, he had a lot to do with the building of them. And probably here at Mount Brown as well.
So he really, from Sydney, worked his way out towards Mount Brown, didn't he? We've got records of him being around Bathurst area.
Our grandfather was born around Bathurst before he came here.
Cowra, I think he spent a bit of time.
Oh, yeah.
Great-grandfather.
In 1880, Fredrick and Selina make the huge decision to pack up their young family and walk over 1,000 kilometres into an unknown and unnamed goldfield. With 9 children under the age of 16, the risk they take to try and better their lives, based only on stories they had heard of the wealth being discovered, not realising here they would spend the rest of their lives.
The first baby born in Milparinka, he named Milparinka.
Milparinka Albert, wasn't it? Because it was the Albert Goldfields. So,
Just 34 days before this baby was born, Fredrick and his wife Selina had the grim task of having to bury their 17-year-old son and 14-year-old daughter, as there was a typhoid epidemic.
One of my second cousins in Adelaide got me to send over a DNA sample to see whether we were really of African origin, because I think she sent one over, and because she's female and come from the female side of it, they didn't confirm that. Apparently it comes through the male side, and so I can be traced back to the great-grandfather. And so it came back, I suppose, about a month ago as positive. I think 69% of African Americans have got the same DNA.
Yeah?
Apparently, yeah. A lot of slaves were taken from Angola, apparently. So, I mean, they're diverse people, but it's like... So how did you hear that?
well, I think I heard from somebody outside the family, really, that our grandfather was black.
Yeah.
It had that stigma those days, but not so much now. It's,
I know he always had a lot of respect for Aboriginal athletes and that. There was one he mentioned was Bill Hayward. I think he may have been a footballer too.
Yeah. Have you ever looked for any gold on any of the trips?
No, would like to. It's the only way I could get my wife to come up here.
You lied to her then.
no, I haven't been drawn by the gold fever anyway.
I'd be interested just to, have a look and...
Well, this afternoon we'll go up to the pub that I'm trying to fix up.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get a hand to lay some stone, because you two look solid and strong.
Mm.
You wait to see some of the stone me and Karen been lifting up.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it is. You give the wife a break, so you use us to do it. Yeah, fair enough.
I've left a bit of the doorway. It's a shame you're not here long
I saw
enough.
it there. I've seen it already, and I'm not going up there. It's too big.
You saw the big flat one down
Yes,
there?
I did.
Yeah, we got that from down here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd find a big bit of stone and I'd call Karen over and I'd just say,
Come here, dear.
I say, have you cleaned that bloody caravan yet? And your hair looks horrible. She gets that cranky and that fired up. I said, can you lift that up for me, please? She just puts it straight in the truck for me.
So what's that?
Yeah, we'll go and lay some stone. I'll try and find some gold for you.
All right.
Yeah,
we
I
found-
know Toby's, he's interested in using the metal detector and having a look for
Yeah.
gold, yeah. Even if I just found one piece, yeah, I guess I'd be happy with that.
Maybe tweak it on the other side. On record, eh? One crook, that'll do. You can see how they've kind of laid the stone, one like that, one like that, one like that, one like that. It's just all kind of tying it in.
Ties it in, yeah.
Stick something under.
On the 6th of May, 1898, at the age of 66, Fredrick lost his battle with pneumonia. His doctor, Roland McLean, could do no more. His big heart finally stopped. We guess all that fine dust he was breathing in for so many years while digging for gold in that dry desert had claimed his life. Once again, a man of incredible strength and will to live is gone. Today, it is very hard to find people of this character. It just felt right to me to rebuild this old stone hut. All those old prospectors who lived here, and now the new prospectors can use it again. On a cold, wet, windy night, you would be safe from the elements once again.
Now, does it make you wonder how many bits of stone, if not, did your great-grandfather, how many pieces did he lay, or did he lay any of these?
According to the record there, he had, building some of the hotels and maybe the courthouse and things. I mean, I know that that may be, but
It was nice to know that Fredrick worked on the courthouse. As you can see, the stonework here is beautiful.
It looks too rough for a stonemason to do.
this
see
does,
it's fairly rough,
this
yeah.
is that's right, it's
But
pretty
then
rough.
if you're building something fairly quick and substantial, you'd just knock
Yeah.
it together quick, wouldn't you?
But a stonemason would have ideas to bond it. A lot of the stones have been just stacked one on the other.
Ah, yeah.
Right.
See the stone there? You know, you've got a bond that's laid across it.
Yeah,
It's all tied in, like
Yeah.
brickwork.
Yeah, yeah.
Someone's put a bit of thought into that.
right, yeah.
After Fredrick died in 1898, one of Fredrick and Selina's daughters, Sarah, she married a John Solly and had 7 children. They were all born at Milparinka. The last child born at Milparinka was Sydney Joseph Solly, born August 1903. They moved to Western Australia after this birth. Before they left, they would have supported Selina while she grieved her husband. I was told one of Selina's son-in-laws, Walter Carter, with his carts and bullock wagons, he helped Selina pack and move down to Broken Hill to live the rest of her life. She adored her husband and asked her children to buy the best headstone money could buy. As you can see, it is grand. Selina did not leave Milparinka until she did see that headstone in its rightful place.
Little nugget.
Yeah.
What is it, Spud?
Nugget.
Did you dig that up?
Yes.
Where is it? Oh, yeah. It's out of focus. Let's put it in Mum's hands. Let's have a look.
Dropping it. It's
Okay.
a nice big one, isn't it?
It's a
Jack,
little
give me a
one.
light, Jack.
Little one.
The little one is bigger than the other one.
You got a little nugget, Spud?
Yes.
Come on.
And you and Jackie dug it up?
My youngest son, Charlie. His first gold nugget he ever dug up.
with a little help from his big brother. I wonder how many we are going to find in the future. We're going to have a lot of fun. I think the real hero here is Selena. Once again, a lady following her man's dreams, always putting him first. She is the one who bared all the pain, giving birth to 13 children, losing her first boy and girl. Then Selena's second last son went missing in Western Australia on the goldfields. He was never heard of again. Selena's last son, James, he is buried with his older brother and sister. They never did meet each other. He was a stillborn. They were teenagers.
Are you going to help me, are you?
It's better up here than down there, those three.
You'd rather be laying rocks than looking after kids, okay.
Now to get it from here to the top without hurting ourselves, it was a challenge. The main thing I was worried about was someone getting hurt, mainly the children. We were so remote, we'd have to call the property owners with the UHF radio if they were home, if they heard the call. Then they would have to use their phone to call the flying doctors. It might be hours before they got there. The trip would be ended. We may never come back. I don't think Karen would have the patience to do it all again. So safety was number one, and to keep everyone happy.
Let me come and get the pole out of the way. Boom.
Wait a second. Let it slide back in the ute. Slip that end down there. The other end, slip it, slide down in the ute. Take it. That's it.
Without Karen's help, I would have been stuffed. This would have been a big job on my own. I do think Karen was stronger than me. You should feel her muscles. The Bamuses must have done alright out of the gold, as the family had several blocks of land at Milparinka. Fredrick ran a general store and a bakery. He also had the facilities for penning cattle or horses, with their carts and wagons. Supplies were delivered by bullock wagon from Wilkenya, where Walter Carter lived, and he took 3 months to deliver the supplies from Whitecliffs, staging posts all the way along to Milparinka and Tibooburra. He worked for his brother-in-law in the carrying trade, running a bullock team and wagon. The Bamus family were musical, and they held dances for the inhabitants of Milparinka. It was time to move the camp down to the shearers' quarters, where we all had a little bit of company.
See that serious one, Dad?
Okay, Jack.
Karen's father was due to arrive on the property today, so I decided to go for a drive with young Charlie to a big hill so we could get radio contact.
As the property was so large, I didn't want him to get lost.
You there, Mark?
Yes.
He's here.
Oh, gee, that was quick.
All right, where are you?
Sitting on a big hill, looking out to the east, all the dust coming in.
Well, anyway, you just got here to camp.
Did he bring me surfboard?
Yes.
Oh, great. Wonder when the tide's going to come in.
You waiting a while?
Like everything, darling.
Yeah.
A fair bit of dust out to the east.
Oh, something to look forward to, isn't it?
Hello, Mum.
Hello, Charlie.
Say hello, Pop.
Hello, Pop. I did.
Hello, Charlie.
Hello, Pop. I did.
Say we found a nugget. Go.
I found a nugget.
You found a nugget?
Yes.
A big one?
The little one.
Well, good. Bring it back to camp and show Pop. Okay, bye.
Young Charlie was excited. He couldn't wait to see Pop again. This was really good for Karen and the kids, to have her father here. You could see it in her face how happy she was. Straight away, everything felt right. Karen just received her first mail in about 5 weeks. Contact with the outside world.
How many days? 2? 2. Yeah, hay, Broken Hill. The gas system's failed on your car. So your fuel, petrol gauge doesn't look like it's working properly. So I don't know how much fuel I've got, other than I should have at least half a tank over.
Is there petrol at Milparinka? No diesel at all.
Yes, there's no diesel there, I saw that. Yeah.
I had to get some off Ray at the property. The we're on empty as well.
Days earlier, before Karen's dad arrived, I had the big job of putting the 2 largest stones on either side of the door. I wanted this challenge. I had the easy job. All the stone was already here. All this stone you see is local sandstone from the Milparinka area. It would have all been loaded onto carts and dragged out here by horse or bullock. A massive job on its own. The foundations of this hut are from the local stone, slate. You see, this is what happened. All the gullies had thousands of gold nuggets in them, and the slate acted as natural traps. And the prospectors would rip these rock bars apart and throw all the slate up on the bank to get to the bottom of the gully and the cracks to obtain the gold. And at the end of each day, they would gather up the best pieces of slate, and now they are the foundations of the hut. We hope Fredrick and his family worked on this hut. Then we have a strong connection. I have bonded with them now. I wonder how many broken nails and fingers they must have endured, lifting and cutting stone, digging for gold every day, collecting firewood. They must have endured a lot of pain and hardship.
It's moving. Yep. Lift it again. Okay, your hand.
Yeah, hand's alright. I'll yell out from the hand's not.
Alright.
Have you ever looked up the word in the dictionary? Prospectors. Most people think of them as smelly, unshaven, foul-mouthed brutes. Maybe you're right. Look at the way they lived. Have you ever thought everything we use today in modern life we would not have without prospectors? We would not have any oil, petrol, cars, televisions, fertilizers, diamonds, silver, and gold. The list goes on. They lived rough, lonely lives to find these raw materials for all of us. Out here, away from the cities, you have more time to spend with your family. In the city, the kids grow up so fast and you wonder, what happened? What was I doing with all that time wasted? Running around doing what? How you going, Jack?
Good.
Yeah, puffing a bit.
Yeah.
See the big storm coming? Couple more hours on it, it'll be done.
Hours?
When we're done the chimney, we'll put a little veranda at the front. And what did they used to do with that, Millie?
They used to catch a rabbit with it. They used to put that over it and that push down when it feels something.
It was time for me to show my children just one of the many ways how people of a bygone era fed their families. Some of you will think this is barbaric. This is good for the children to see. This will make them strong, not weak, as my father showed me and his father before. Come on, kids.
Poor little thing. Come on, come on, come on, come on.
Rightio.
There's rabbit holes.
This is how your pop used to live. He'd set 60 traps a night, him and his brother, for food and skins. Look, Charlie.
Yeah.
Tomorrow you'll be jumping around everywhere,
Yeah.
eating the rabbit.
Yeah.
Our trip was slowly coming to an end. The last big job, the fireplace and chimney. The most favourite part I enjoyed. I couldn't wait to sit in front of that fire with good company, a beer or a cuppa. I would have loved to have went back 100 years and sat with Fredrick and his family. That will never happen.
Fredrick's wife, this lady suffered. She worked very hard. What a pain burying those children up there in that lonely outback desert, and then just waiting years later to bury her husband alongside them. If I could just go back in time and spend that week with her. That last week, while she was packing to leave that horrible goldfield. Maybe we'll meet one day in the future, all of us. Tell our stories. I bet yours are a lot grander than mine. Mine are all tall and long, yours are all true and gritty.
In 1912, Selena's 11th child, Amos, disappeared in the goldfields of Western Australia while prospecting for gold. The WA relative said he loved his drink and suggested he may have been robbed or murdered. Selena travelled to WA and after making extensive inquiries as to his friends and enemies, came back to Broken Hill to grieve. His body was never recovered or found. It would be a pretty cold case by now.
Days earlier, I promised young Toby I would try to find some gold for him, as I have done with my son Jack over many years, walking many miles for nothing and digging hundreds of holes. I know there was gold found around the old cemetery. To fill the afternoon in, it was up to Jack and me to show him how it was done. We dug many holes for old nails and lots of rubbish. Toby was starting to lose interest, and so was I. My son Jack has seen this many a times. He knows if you are patient, one day one will turn into gold. But as time passed, one of the holes I saw a glint of gold. Knowing we had a little nugget, and not letting him know, I made him dig it and sift the dirt. It took a while, and all the time, him not knowing his grandfather, his great-great-grandfather, was watching over him. I was excited. It was only little. I just wanted to grab that little bit of gold and throw it in his hand, but I had to let him dig it himself. From that day on, he will never think the same. Everyone who digs up gold out of the earth with their bare hands, it changes them for the rest of their lives. Gold is the reason why all those poor souls are lying in the ground behind us. To me, it's always been about the adventure, the travel, the excitement, the people you meet, not the money. That's just a little bonus on the side. Never let gold control you. Just enjoy the moment.
Where's your nugget?
Chris, he's hit the jackpot.
You got to put it in your mouth, swirl it around, suck all the dust off, then you put the nugget in your hand and spit the dirt out.
Young Toby didn't realise how powerful this moment was. Over 100 years later, Fredrick would be so excited to know about one of his great-great-grandchildren digging up a nugget so close to him and his family. Hey Toby, look over your shoulder and look who's watching you.
My great-great-grandfather.
When it's all said and done, who had it right? Us, the white man? No. We are not connected to the earth anymore, always wearing shoes, sitting in houses and cars, always trying to obtain more and more material things that we think we need. We don't need them, we want them. A man once said to me, "You will never hear someone on their deathbed say, 'I want to see my bank balance.' No, they will be asking to see their children, friends and loved ones. That's what really matters." For over 40,000 years, some spent all their time caring for the ones they loved, looking for food and shelter. Gold. You cannot eat it. It will not be your friend, nor will it keep you warm at night or give you a hug. You cannot make tools out of it like a spear. So really, it is useless. Just remember, looking for gold is what makes you feel like a child again. It's all about the journey, not the destination. We don't know how long it has been here. Maybe billions of years. I don't know when we'll all be gone. It's just a matter of time. And that will happen just like the dinosaurs. And the gold will still be here doing what? Nothing.